Let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a seriously ambitious blueprint for the future of Cambodia's capital city. We're talking about the Phnom Penh Sustainable City Plan. Now, this is a fascinating roadmap, and it's designed to completely rethink how a massive, bustling Southeast Asian metropolis manages its absolute explosion of growth between now and 2030. You can actually see the challenge perfectly captured right here. Look at that striking contrast. You've got the historic royal palace sitting right there in the foreground, but then it's backed by this surging, ultra-modern skyline. It really highlights the transitional phase Phnom Penh is going through right now. I mean, it is the cultural heart of Cambodia, but its physical environment is transforming practically overnight. So the core puzzle this plan is trying to solve is, well, how do you manage that explosive growth responsibly? Here's our quick roadmap for today. 1, we'll look at the rapid growth in Phnom Penh. 2, the 2030 Green Vision. 3, a 10-step blueprint. 4, 8 key urban sectors. And finally, 5, moving from strategy to action. Starting off with Section 1, rapid growth in Phnom Penh. Before we can even talk about the future, we really have to ground ourselves in the reality of right now. And the crucial starting point is this massive number. Over 2.5 million people are in the city on any given day. This massive boom is being fueled by really fast-moving economic engines. Think the garment sector, tourism, and a huge real estate boom. And honestly, if you've ever lived in a rapidly growing city, you know exactly what comes next. It puts an enormous strain on existing infrastructure, impacting everything from flood management to urban transport. And that brings up the ultimate double-edged sword of urbanization. As the Minister of Environment points out here, economic acceleration intrinsically consumes vital natural resources. Right? Cities are incredible engines for job creation, but they are also the absolute centers of resource consumption. So the goal here isn't to hit the brakes and stop the growth, it's to figure out how to harness it without totally depleting the environment in the process. Which leads us to Section 2, the 2030 Green Vision, the goal of a clean, green city. So how exactly do they balance that expansion with the environment? Well, the overarching goal is laid out clearly right here. By 2030, Phnom Penh wants to be a clean, green, and highly competitive city. And I really want you to notice that word competitive. The plan makes it absolutely clear that environmental protection shouldn't hold the city back. It should actually enhance its status as a booming economic hub. To actually achieve this, we need to break down what green growth actually means in this official context. It's way more than just planting a few trees. It is a deeply social and economic concept. It means tackling climate change head-on while simultaneously pushing for economic development and social inclusion, basically ensuring that all groups, especially the disadvantaged, get to share in the city's newly found prosperity. Now, keep in mind, this new sustainable city plan doesn't just exist in a vacuum. Think of it more like the glue connecting 3 major pre-existing master plans for 2035. We're talking about land use, urban transport, and drainage and sewerage. This plan takes those green growth actions and weaves them directly into the foundational pillars of how the city operates. Moving on to Section 3, a 10-step blueprint, the actual methodology for this growth. Because, look, transforming a city of 2.5 million people isn't exactly something you can just improvise on the fly. The source material outlines a very strict 10-step strategic planning methodology, which we've mapped out into 6 digestible phases here. It acts as a roadmap that literally guides policymakers step by step, all the way from establishing the initial governance structure to setting the objectives, right down to the nitty-gritty implementation arrangements. That brings us to Section 4, 8 key urban sectors, targeting the day-to-day operations. Once that methodology is locked in, planners know they can't just treat the city like one giant monolith, so they divide the city into 8 distinct urban sectors. This ensures every single area gets dedicated, localized attention. We are talking about a huge range of things here, from energy and transport to manufacturing, all the way to urban vulnerability, which is super important for making sure citizens are resilient to natural risks, like flooding. And balancing all these different sectors is an incredible high-wire act. Just look at the stunning historic Independence Monument on the left there, and then compare it to the rapidly expanding modern infrastructure on the right. Planners are forced to figure out how to preserve that vital cultural heritage while simultaneously upgrading the built environment to handle the massive waste and transport needs of a 21st century population. Which takes us to our final part, Section 5, from strategy to action, how this actually works on the ground. So, you might be wondering, how does the administration actually get these lofty goals off the page and out into the streets? To make sure this plan doesn't just sit on a shelf gathering dust, they established very formal implementation steps. This involves setting up an advisory board, sure, but more importantly, technical working groups. These are the folks who track the financials and put strict monitoring and evaluation protocols in place to track real, tangible progress. And all of this careful strategic planning culminates in one highly significant number for the city: 48. The plan has successfully identified 48 highly specific, prioritized green investment projects. Each and every one of these has been thoroughly analyzed for risks and opportunities, meaning they're fully ready to be funded, prioritized, and built right now. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. Phnom Penh is the very first city in Cambodia to apply this comprehensive green city methodology. So if this complex balancing act actually works here, it could absolutely become the definitive blueprint for sustainable growth across the entire region. The real question is, how quickly can these 48 projects transform the city, and who's going to be the next to follow their lead?